not a doctor. I don't have a medical degree. But I am a concerned citizen. I have a brain. I have logic. And I know when things don't make sense. So, with that being said, this is my opinion only. But, since this whole thing started, we'll call it February. And some was before, that got heavy in March, April of 2020. I have not heard any talking head or any of the people who are given the podium to dictate things that us free Americans should or should not do. They haven't said anything about exercising, anything about healthy eating, dietary stuff, anything about staying hydrated and not being dehydrated, nothing about getting any sort of supplementation, vitamins, if you're low, that kind of stuff, anything to build up your immune system. Nothing. I've heard nothing about that. It's all been about this shot that is the end-all be-all, going to fix everything, even though everyone gets the flu shot every season, and the flu, the percentage, the numbers of the flu has never dropped at all. Sometimes it's gone up. But anyways, I'll digress on that. So with that being said, I haven't heard any of them talking about that. So my question is, what happened to an apple a day keeps the doctor away? This is what I learned growing up. I learned about being healthy. I learned about, vitamins, nutrition, getting outside, getting some sun rays for some vitamin D, that kind of stuff, exercising, being healthy. It was driven in to me in the schools and, playing, and from my parents and some of the teachers. That's what it all was. And now it seems like that's gone by the wayside, and that's no longer good. What is good is to do what you want, eat what you want, consume what you want, sit around as much as you want, but just get this shot. We'll fix it all. We'll fix it all for you. So anyways, as I was looking into things here, I ran across some numbers which are pretty telling, pretty surprising, eye-opening. I'm going to list some here. 50% of the entire American population, 50% of them have some sort of vitamin deficiency. Is that good? Is that bad? Is it major? Is it minor? It's all over the board. I got a few numbers. Go with that. 20% of all people, all Americans, are deficient in vitamin D. The number's higher if a person has a darker skin complexion because they don't get as much vitamin D from the sun. They have to be out longer. And elderly Americans are 70% vitamin D deficient. 40% are deficient in vitamin B12. 90% are deficient in potassium. 70% are deficient in calcium. 80% are deficient in vitamin E. 50% are deficient in vitamin A, vitamin C, and magnesium. Those are just some of the things that your body needs. We can talk about the minerals and all that other stuff your body needs, but these are just some. These are extraordinary numbers. These are just, you got to question what's going on there. People are getting more and more sick, less and less healthy, and more deficient in the things that your body needs to have a great immune system, to be able to fight stuff, and to be able to thrive the best you can. Every doctor that's spoken about, that I've run across anyways, that's spoken about health and nutrition and vitamins, supplementation, that kind of stuff, doing things that don't go in lockstep or in line with Dr. Fauci, Dr. Birx, and not Dr. Gates, undoctored Gates, I'll call him. A guy who doesn't have any medical degree, a guy who really doesn't have a degree, but here is one of the top talking heads for everything medical-wise. How do you get that way? Well, I get $1 billion and another $1 billion and another $1 billion and another $1 billion ways he did that. Dr. Fauci is a doctor who hasn't seen a patient in decades. Dr. Birx, I don't know her story that well, but she's just fallen in line with the other two, so what's the difference? And then there's this whole thing about masks. Masks, early on, don't work. If you're healthy, don't wear a mask. It's not good. just the sick should have a mask, that kind of stuff. Then masks are essential. You need a mask. Well, at certain times you need a mask. And they're essential at certain times, other times they're not. And then come out again, then I hear, well, you really don't need a mask unless you're, helping people who, are sick or have this or have that. Then you might want to be wearing a mask if you're healthy around them. Otherwise, they for sure need a mask. And then it goes to this whole thing of you can't function in life, you can't function in society without a mask. You are not welcome anywhere. And even the people who don't want to wear them, that are wearing them, are playing police to the people who are not wearing them because of their exercising their freedom. So this is a whole ordeal. It reminds me of other things, and I don't want to get into that. But so a question I have is, so if you have a condition, if you have asthma, COPD, if you have something, do not wear a mask. It is not healthy at all for you. You should not. It is bad. It's harmful. But if you don't have a condition, if you are healthy, wear a mask because it's so much more healthy for you or someone, those around you, to wear a mask. That right there doesn't make sense to me. So it's healthy for you to wear one if you're healthy. But if you have an ailment, if you have asthma or COPD, it's not healthy for you to wear it. I mean, that goes through my head over and over, and I just can't make heads or tails of it. It doesn't make sense, even coming from the people who want it to make sense, which that's their whole ploy and push. So anyways, I see people getting arrested for not wearing masks in other countries. I see all the stuff that's happening around here, all the infighting, everything. This is, in my opinion, the best way to conquer a nation, to conquer people, is to divide them. Divided people are the easiest to conquer. That just runs across my head. So I had this thing that reminded me of things that are going on now, and I just want to bring this to light. In 1920 to 1933, we had Prohibition here in the United States of America. Prohibition. That was, there's no alcohol. There's no selling, no producing, no distributing, nothing of alcohol. It was illegal. They were pushing this. They're trying to get people to abide by it, even though the elites and some of the politicians still have their alcohol, but what's good for them is not good for you. But with that being said, they were trying to do this. They were fining people, and then they doubled the fines. They made the fines more extreme, and they were doing other things to try to get the people to stop and control what they do and what they don't do. And it wasn't working. And then started jailing them. Well, they're jailing people, and they're jailing a bunch. And that didn't do anything. I mean, that really didn't do what they wanted. There was no outcome there that they were wanting. I mean, they unexpectedly saw, well, people want their freedom. So by 1926, they came out and decided to make the alcohol toxic. So the government ordered companies to put additives in their alcohol. They called them additives. They're actually poisons in their alcohol. Some of the poisons were gasoline, cadmium, mercury salts, ether, formaldehyde, chloroform, acetone, and there was a bunch more, but those were some of the additives, they call them, which are actually poisons. Because they thought, well, the people get sick, and then they'll stop with the alcohol. They'll get the picture, they'll get the hint, they'll stop. That didn't happen. So what happened was the people who were getting that alcohol, the stuff that was being poisoned, was the cheaper of the stuff, because it wasn't the stuff being brought in from out of the country, and it wasn't the stuff on the booze cruises where the politicians and the elites were. All that stuff was good. It was all imported alcohol. It was all safe alcohol that those who were deserving, quote unquote, were able to get at. The people who were drinking the poison alcohol were primarily, it was mostly the poor, the downtrodden, because that's what they could afford and that's what they had available. So from that, by 1933, there's estimates of at least 10,000 people died of alcohol, the poisoned alcohol. It didn't stop or deter anyone from drinking, but it killed the people. So the government killed the citizens. They poisoned the alcohol. Prohibition 1920 to 1933. By 1926, they put poison in the alcohol to try to control the way people behaved. They wanted to control behaviors. They wanted them to do something they weren't. Wanted them to stop doing something they were. So they poisoned. And they thought that it would get sick and that would stop it. Well, it didn't. It killed them. So if the government is going to kill people by poisoning them and try to put it off on, well, we didn't mean for that to happen. Well, you let 10,000 people die because you put poison in something that they were consuming. You can't tell me you didn't mean for that to happen. So why am I saying this? Because if the government does this to try to control people and control you, what are they going to do with this magic injection that they have? There's so many companies doing this now. What's in it? What are they going to put in it? Something to track us, something to trace us, something to, make our behaviors do certain things, something to make sure we're not eating this or eating that, or, doing whatever we're supposed to be according to them. Is there something in there? Because I know there's been a lot of patents out there that they've been passing, that they've been, going at and getting, I should say, from the Gates Foundation and others that have a lot to do with those things along those lines. So that's just something that runs in my head, whether that's the case or not. But you know what? 1926, the United States government poisoned its citizens and killed its citizens. Not saying it's happening now, but I'm not saying to turn a blind eye on this thing. So I just had to get this out. I know it's a little different from my usual stuff is monetary stuff, but I think this is so important to get out there and just make people think one way or another. Again, this is just my opinion. I want to thank you very much for watching. The next one, I promise, will be monetary based, related somehow. But as always, stay vigilant, protect your health, and protect your wealth.